Junko Furuta was a young Japanese woman who was kidnapped, brutally tortured, abused, and murdered by 4 young men in Japan. Her case has been considered the worst juvenile delinquency in post-war Japan. Today, we tell you her sad story in this Drama Life. Junko was born in Misato, Saitama. She lived with her parents and siblings. In her teens, she attended Yashio Minami High School while combining her studies with her job at a plastic mold factory. The young woman worked to save money and could enjoy a graduation trip she had planned. Despite her employment, she never neglected her studies and had good grades. In addition, she was very loved by her classmates. And how could the life of a young woman with such a promising future be so cruelly destroyed? On November 25, 1988, the end of her freedom would begin. 2 young men, Hiroshi Miyano and her friend Shinji Minato, were wandering down the street when they saw Junko riding her bike home after work. Shinji hit the bike and ran away, and meanwhile Hiroshi, pretending he had nothing to do with it, came over and he offered to walk her home. Junko agreed, but what she didn't know was that Hiroshi was taking her to a warehouse, where he intimidated her and threatened to kill her. There, he abused her, and later he took her to a hotel where he did it again. From the hotel, Hiroshi called Shinji and 2 other friends, Jo Ogura and Yasushi Watanabe, and the 4 of them abused her again together. Ogura asked Hiroshi to keep her kidnapped so that more men could abuse the young woman. The criminals collected her address from a notebook in her backpack and told her that if she tried to escape, the Yakuza would kill her family because they had connections to the mafia. Then they took her to a house owned by Hiroshi's parents, where she was abused by the 4 of them again. 2 days later, when the young woman disappeared, Junko's parents called the police. The kidnappers found out, and to avoid investigations, they forced the young woman to call her mother and convince her that she had run away with a friend and she was fine. The young woman was kidnapped for more than 40 days, being abused and tortured daily. The 4 teens called Yakuza friends to continue tormenting her. More than 100 men participated in these brutal abuses. Among the tortures that were carried out on her, we can mention some terrible ones, such as forcing her to drink urine, feeding her with cockroaches, inserting firecrackers into her rectum to later explode them inside her, burn her with cigarettes and lighters, or amputate her breasts with pliers. This is a brief summary of the torture Junko was subjected to, but we assure you that there is a long list of atrocities that would force us to create another video focusing only on her torture. If you feel like it, let us know and we'll do a second part. In early December, Junko tried to call the police. However, she was discovered by Hiroshi before she could say a word to them. As punishment for trying to communicate, they sprayed a flammable liquid on her legs and feet and set her on fire. They also inserted a large bottle into her anus, causing extensive bleeding and convulsions. They thought she was faking an epileptic seizure, so they set her on fire again. The young woman survived these injuries and continued to be brutally tortured and abused. After so many attacks and assaults, Junko's appearance changed drastically. Her face was so swollen that her features couldn't be distinguished, and her body was so injured that it emitted a putrefactive smell, causing boys to lose interest in abusing her. Time continued to pass, and on January 4, 1989, Junko was challenged to play mahjong. Hiroshi had lost and decided to unleash his anger on the young woman. The 4 of them began to beat her with an iron bar, kicked her, placed candles on her eyelids, burning them with hot wax, among many other tortures. It is terrible to relate all these atrocities, TikTakers. After many hits, Junko fell down and started convulsing. Her body was bleeding and her infected burns were oozing pus. Then the boys covered her hands with plastic bags and duct tape and continued to hit her, dropping heavy iron dumbbells onto her stomach multiple times. They sprayed her with flammable liquid all over her body and set her on fire. Junko made several attempts to put out the flames, but gradually became unresponsive and died that day. Afraid of being sentenced, the boys wrapped her corpse in blankets and put it in a travel bag. Then they put her body in a metal drum and filled it with fresh cement. They left the drum in an area where garbage and all appliances were deposited. On January 23rd, Hiroshi and Ogura were arrested for abusing another young woman. After interrogations and clues found at their homes, Hiroshi confessed Junko's crimes and told the police where her body was. The police found a drum containing the young woman's body, and the 4 young men were arrested. They found Junko's body embedded in the cement with energy bottles inserted into her anus, and it was even discovered that they had made her pregnant with their abuse. We are speechless at the barbarity of these crimes. If you want to know more information about this shocking case, write to us in comments, TikTakers. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it. And if you want to see more Draw My Life videos, subscribe to our channel. See you in the next episode!